Today we're looking at compare and order fractions and decimals. It's an OAS Math Standard 5N 2.3. That's 5th grade numbers, 2.3. The standard looks like this. Compare and order fractions and decimals, including mixed numbers and fractions less than 1, and locate on a number line. So there's a couple of things it's going to ask us to do. There's going to be a lot of number lines. It's going to ask us to compare them. That means decide which one is greater, which one is least, put them in order. We're going to be using decimals, mixed numbers, and fractions. So let's take a look at the first one. Which list of numbers is in order from least to greatest? I just love it when they go least to greatest. However, quite often they will flip-flop this and they'll go most to least or greatest to least. And in that case, we tend to miss them just because we always want to think order is smallest to largest, and it's not. So you really have to pay attention to the order. In this case, I would even recommend highlighting it. When you're on the computer or in your worksheets, you've got a highlighter, you've got a pencil, use it. Least to greatest, so pay attention here. Now, when I look here, I see 39. I'm just going to take a look at the whole numbers first. There's a 39, 39, 39, 30. Well, 30 is definitely smaller than 39, so this one is not least to greatest. So I'm going to eliminate that one as a possibility. This one, whole numbers 30 to 39 to 39 to 39. That's still a possibility. 30, 39, 39, 39. That one's still good. But I notice this one has these 39s and then 30 at the end, which means that one is still greatest to least, rather than what this one's asking for, so I've eliminated that one. Now I'm down to just two answers. Least to greatest. 30 and 71 hundredths, both of these have the same one. It's when we get into this second one that things get a little bit different. Okay? Notice at the end, they're the same as well, 39 and 9/10. It's these four right here where things get flip-flopped. So we have to ask ourselves, which one is the least? Because remember, that's where we're going in order, least. 39 and 87 hundredths, or 39 and 51 hundredths. In this case, 51 is definitely less than 87, so this one goes from least to greatest. See, these are just flip-flopped here, and they'll try to trick you like that. You have to pay attention, one row at a time. This one, 51 hundredths, is less than 87 hundredths, is less than 9/10. Okay, select the correct symbol. Now, this one gets tricky, especially when you're looking at them from left to right in this manner right here. I think it's easier on the eyes if you write them in order, or you write them one on top of the other, okay? So this is 9 and, there's your decimal, so you say and, 8. This is not in the tenths place, it's in the hundredths place, so this is read as 9 and 8 hundredths. And then I'm going to compare the other one, and I'm going to line up my one place, 9. I have a 0, 8, 0, so I have to line them up exactly. Excuse the horrible, this is so hard to do with the mouse. Okay, so I always start at the left-hand side. My ones place is the same. That doesn't help me any. The tens place is the same. The hundredths place is the same. So I have to go out here to the thousandths place. Well, this one has a 0. This one has nothing. Sometimes that confuses people. They think, well, what does that mean? Well, nothing is the same as a 0. So I like to make sure that they have the same number of digits when I compare them. It just helps me to see that in this case, these two are actually the exact same numbers. So we call that in math equal. Here we go with the number lines. Compare the numbers above using the number line below. So I'm going to look at this first number, 3 and 2/10. Look at my number line, how it's broken up, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That tells me, with this 2/10 right here, that there are 10 marks 9 marks, 10 spaces between each of these numbers. Okay, I can count just to be sure if I want to. Let's go from here to there. Start here. That's the 0 mark. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the 10th gets me to the next one. So that means that this is tenths. So because when I read this number, I see 3 and 2 tenths. I look at the 2. That's not what I want. I look at the 3. There it is in 2 tenths. I count over 1, 2, and I'm going to place a mark right there. And I'm going to label that A. Okay? Point A is the 3 and 2 tenths. Now, how do I label the 3 and 4 fifths? Well, there's a couple of different ways to do that. When you label that 3 and 4 fifths, you can think of it as 4 out of 5 spaces from here. Well, these aren't broken up into fifths, they're broken up into tenths. But I know that 5 and 10 are compatible numbers, and 5 is half a 10. 10 is double 5. So I would actually count these as halves. I would go, there's 1/5, there's 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, and 5/5. And then I would place my number right back here, or my point, where I got to the 4/5. Now, I know some kids look at that and go, I have no idea how you figured that out. Please tell me another way. No problem. You can take a look at this 4/5. And in order to compare a fraction to a decimal, okay, we have a fraction here, I want to compare it to the decimal here. This decimal, it would be written in a fraction form as 2 tenths. Well, in order to compare these, I need to get the denominators the same. So what do I have to do to get this 5 become a 10? Well, I multiply it by 2. And what I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So 5 times 2 is 10, 4 times 2 is 8. So now I can count this as 8 tenths, as 3 and 8 tenths. I go back here and I go, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tenths, and that's the exact same spot as the 4/5. So now that I've done this part of the work, I can go back here and look. This one, A, says 3 and 2 tenths is greater than 3 and 4/5. When I'm looking on the number line, which one is greater, A or B? Well, B is further along the number line. It's further away from 0, which would be back here somewhere. Okay, so that means that B is greater. So this one is not correct because it says A is greater. 3 and 2 tenths is less than 3 and 4/5. Yes, because it's closer to our 0 mark back here. And this one asks if they're equal. No, it is not. So our answer here would be 3 and 2 tenths is less than 3 and 4/5. More number lines. Compare the numbers above using the number line below. Well, here we're looking at improper fractions. Okay, we have 27/9 comparing to 13/5. Well, we have to go back and think about what are improper fractions. How do I get it? How do I compare it? I need to be able to convert these into mixed numbers so that I can find them on this number line, because my number line starts at 0. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 27/9. So I know that in order to turn this fraction into a number, a mixed number, or a whole number, I divide the numerator by the denominator. And I know, because I know my math facts, 27 divided by 9 is simply 3. Nothing left over, so there's not really a mixed number here. So let me get my marker. And I'm going to put my mark here for 3, which we'll label this as A. Okay? Now, let me switch colors on you. Let's look at B, 13/5. So I take my numerator, divide it by the denominator, and if you're quick at math, you've got this answer already in your head. If you're not, we're going to do it step by step, so that's okay. How many times will 5 go into 1? It won't. How many times will 5 go into 13? That's 2. Because 2 times 5 is 10, which leaves us with a remainder of 3. So here's how I get my mixed number. Here's my whole number, 2. Okay. Your remainder, here's your numerator, 3. And out here is your denominator. So B here, 13/5, is equivalent to 2 3/5. So I'm going to go 0, 1, 2, and then again, look at that 3/5. That's divided every other one when you've got the tenths marks here. So there's 1/5, 2/5, 3/5. And that right there is our B. So now let's go back over here and look. This one says 27/9 is greater than 13/5. Is our A greater than our B? Is it further along the line? Yeah, it is. Because 3 is greater than 2 3/5. I can tell that just by looking at the whole numbers. 3 is greater than 2. Let's check. Are they equal to each other? No, they're not at the same spot on the number line. Is it less than? Is A less than B in this case? No, it is not. So our best answer, our correct answer, is A. All right. Type the correct answer in each box. Spell all words correctly and use numerals instead of words for numbers. Well, I don't have a drop down on this one, so we're going to have to write it in. Typically, when you do this on Study Island, you get a drop down. Compare the two decimals using greater than, less than, or equal to, and complete the sentence below. Here I have 108 thousandths, and here I have 13 tenths. Okay? Now, as I mentioned earlier, when you're comparing decimals, some kids think it's easier if you line them up. So here's my 0, 1, 0, 8. Right below it, to compare it, I'll put my 1, my 13 tenths. Now, they do not have the same number of digits to the right, so I'm going to go ahead and put this 0 here. And that should make it fairly obvious which one is greater. A lot of kids would look at that and go that 108 is greater than 13. Not because of its place value, you're looking at 108 thousandths versus 130 thousandths or 13 tenths. So here in the drop-down selection, you would go 108 thousandths is less than 13th. The blank place is what determines that blank is greater than blank. Well, we know, we figured this out already, 13 tenths is greater than the 0.108. Whee, horrible handwriting, sorry. What place value did we have to go to? Well, technically, the ones are the same. The tenths are the same. It was when we got to the hundredths. So when you click this, that drop down there would give you different options, and you would want to click on the one that says hundredths place here. Okay? So that's how you tell. You don't have to go all the way out to the thousands. We did, but technically, this 3 in the tenths place is greater than that 0, so I could tell from just that spot right there. All right, I want you to log into IXL for further practice. You're going to go into the 5th grade math. I want you to find G17, which is compare decimals and fractions on number lines. I want you to work at it until your score becomes an 85 or higher. 85 is the minimum. If you get to 80, keep going. Okay. Then you're going to finish up with Study Island. Log into your class, 2F, compare and order fractions and decimals. Some of them will be on number lines, some won't. But it's going to be looking for more of the same of what we were just doing. Good luck, and let me know if you have questions.